Hey everybody, welcome back to the Mile Train Outsider. I am always Anthony Dodge, and I am joined on probation by the ghost of 2015. Whew. I'm here. Hi everybody. And you are going to behave, right?
Yes.
No games.
Yes. Cross my heart. Hope to be edited out.
Okay. I'm holding you to it.
Right. So anyhow, what's the topic for today?
Well, I thought we would do a little bit more about the Fowler car system, our latest progress on.
Oh, cool. We saw that at Miniatur Wunderland many times.
Not quite, but kind of true. Miniatur Wunderland did use the Fowler car system in their amazing place. Check them out online. But the two brothers who started Miniatur Wunderland, Garrett and Friedrich Braun, were computer guys, They made a lot of money in programming, and then bought a nightclub, and then made enough money to be able to get a loan to start their dream of the Miniatur Wonderland. But they used a computer digital system to control the cars and do more with it. And then they shared this information with Fowler, and then Fowler has taken some of that information to do their latest super Wi-Fi digital full integrated traffic control system that you really only want to do if you have a Fowler car system as big as a model train layout and really want everything. Traffic stops, working lights, pedestrian crossings, cars passing each other, emergency, everything timed and coordinated. Yeah, and that's about $750, give or take 100. So, yeah.
Interesting. So tell me, how far have you gotten? You've actually been pretty busy on the whole table recently. Color me impressed.
Thanks, I think. The down times are when I realize I need more parts and have to order them and wait. And mail, of course, is slower through everything that's going on in the world. So I'm just in waiting mode at times for new pieces.
Always an excuse.
Watch it.
Sorry. So, anyhow, where are you at again, I'll ask?
Well, let's start with a review. The basics of the Fowler car system are very easy. You need a wire, and you need a Fowler car. The Fowler cars have 3 key bits to them. There is a magnetic ski on the front end of the car on a pivoting axle. There is a motor, which is connected to a decoder or diode inside the car. And there is a little thing inside called a reed sensor. And in its most basic form, you run the wire wherever you want to run it. Put it into your plaster as you're making roads. Sink it about 1/16 of an inch up to 1/8 of an inch. And that's about 3 millimeters. And all that happens is you turn the car on, the magnetic ski attaches to the wire, and the motor propels it. That's it. And your cars will run around. Nothing fancy, nothing gimmicky, but you have mobile traffic. Now, speaking of traffic, if you want more intricate traffic, like cars stopping at lights or buses pulling off and stopping, you need more. You need their servo motors. There are 3 types of servo motors. There is the turnout motor, there is the stop motor, and there's a third motor called the parking motor. Now, what these motors do is they emit an electrical impulse. And so if you have a turnout, a place where you want the car to take a turn, there will be a motor, and usually the holes are pre-drilled like this. And if you look up here, you can see there's a straight line coming in, and then you would put the motor here, and then there are 2 lines going out. When you put that motor and its cap in and wire it up, the motor creates an electrical signal that sends the car down the turnout instead of allowing it to go straight. The default mode is it would go straight. Turn the motor on, it pulls the car on the other way. The stop motor acts the same way, except it creates an electromagnetic pulse, which basically shuts down the motor in the vehicle. It shuts it all off. So all you have to do is, if you want cars to take turns or do the bus stops, is you power them up, and then you need a power source now to power the motors, but you have to have some kind of an interrupt, an on-off switch, which you can wire in, and the diagrams that come with the different types of motors tell you how to do it. You create an on-off switch for the power, an interrupt. And so if you want a car to turn, you press the button, the on-off switch, and the car will now turn if you've activated the motor, and it'll turn on to the road you want it to turn on. But again, to make that work, it's a lot of on-off. Call it analog. Well, the third level of running the Fowler car system requires a couple of more things. You need sensors, and you need their little control box, what they call module. Okay, and they have different types of modules. Now, for example, the bus stop module, since I have 2 bus stops put on my system, you plug in your 2 motors, the turnout motor and the stop motor, and then you have 2 sensors you wire in as well. And then there's also a dial that lets you dictate how long your bus will stop for at the stop. But the other thing you need, if you're going to use the sensors, it comes with every vehicle, and it comes in the bus kits, are these magnets. And hopefully this will show up real quick. There is a magnet right there in silver that you glue to the bottom of your vehicle. Now, you only put the magnet on if you're going to use the sensors and if you want that vehicle to use the sensor. And here's what happens. As you're coming in, the sensor picks up the magnet. The magnet activates the sensor. The sensor turns on the motor, and the motor does what it's supposed to do. So when you're doing the bus stop, since you have a turn motor and a stop motor, or turn servo and stop servo, the magnet activates one sensor, which actually turns on the stop motor first, and then the magnet closest, or the sensor closest to the turnout section, activates the turnout. So actually you're turning on the stop motor first, and then you're turning on the turnout. And then the bus will turn and pull into the stop and wait the duration of how long you set it. Mine are set for about 10 seconds. But you have to have the motor. If you're doing just a turn, all you need is one sensor. And if you're using the track, well, the track has pre-drilled holes again where you put the sensors. If you're not using the prefabricated track, the servos have the Fowler kits come with a traceable layout, a stencil, if you will, that you can put down on your table and draw out and mark exactly where you need to put the motors, because you do have to put them in specific relations to each other and the wire. I'm holding up the track. But anyhow, if a car does not have the magnet, it will ignore the signals. So don't put the magnet on. So on my layout, I want the buses to pull into the bus stop, but I don't want other vehicles. And therefore, the magnet is on my bus, but there is no magnet on this car. Now, as of filming today, I do not have the sensors set up for the outer two turnouts, the turnouts that put you into my bus area. And I'll probably repeat this in the videos. So when right now they're just powered. When I plug my power source in, the turnouts are automatically on. I did not even connect a on-off switch. So this guy will actually turn off and go into the bus station as well. The key is he will not pull into the bus stop. Whoops. This guy will. He'll pull into the bus stop and stop. He'll just pass it. Now I do have sensors on order, so I will be doing the arrangement there. I've got another module coming in so I can wire it all up, and then from that point on, this guy will just run the outer loop of traffic, and this guy will pull off into the bus center and then pull into the bus stop. So when you watch some of these videos, you might see this little guy pulling in. There's still a lot to do with the Fowler car layout, but I still have to add these sensors and a couple other things. Then I will mud it over and make it all one giant asphalt arena, so to speak, and go from there. So let's look at where we're at now. All right, got the transformer in, and the little red bus is chugging along. So let's watch what happens. We've motorized one side. We've motorized this turnout, so he should turn. There he goes. And we motorized this. So in he goes. And I think I've got him on a 15-second timer. May only be 10. And off he goes. We did not motorize. I have not motorized the other side yet. It is not motorized on this side, coming in and pulling in here. I just did a test fit on the one side. Oh, people, that is cool. All right, so we're going to follow the bus around. So it pulls in here. And now it departs. And as you saw, it comes around the other side, turns in, pulls in and stops. This is the one that was working in the teaser. And back out and around. Now I still have a couple other things to do. And as you can see, he enters. And then we'll stop on this side. But as I was saying, I have a couple other things I need to do with this. Obviously, you see the tape in areas. I have to put, well, filler across everything. But right now the tape is holding a couple of areas where I've got some dents that the tires react to, so it's just trying to smooth the world out. You saw it kind of got stuck there, but pulls it nicely here. But what we're going to do is, I have already ordered, so they're going to come in. I've got to put two sensors in, here and here. These little holes are where sensors are. Now, of course, I originally hadn't planned this, so I'll have to pry the wire out so I can get into these holes. If anything, I'll probably just snip the wire here, peel it back on both sides enough just to get in there. I'm going to put sensors there, and there's the bus stopping again. running like a dream. And then down on this side, I will put the sensors in, if you can see that. And what that will do is it will allow me to run other vehicles on this loop, but those vehicles will not turn. You have to put a special magnet on, and since the bus gets stuck there every now and then because of the gap, I really need to pull that in tighter. But I'll pull the bus up and you can see there's a magnet that I've installed on it right there. Trying to get to slowly focus, but I think you can see that now, the little silver. You add that magnet, and if you add that magnet, let the bus go back in and do its thing. If you add that magnet in, the sensors read that magnet. And when the sensors read the magnet, they tell the motor, they tell this motor to turn off. Or I'm sorry, to turn on. They tell the motor here to turn on and divert the traffic. So if a car, well, let's see, where is it? There he is, right here. This is my other Fowler car that came with one of my kits. If I turn this little white van on, he will also turn on those. So I'll start him up here. Oops, he gets stuck really easily there. But he will also turn into the bus depot here. See, he turns into the bus depot. Now, he will not stop at the bus stop. He'll go through because there are sensors here which read the magnet. All right, but this guy, if you can see, whoop, does not, come on. Okay. All right, so this guy does not have the magnet. If I turn him over, you'll see there's no magnet on the bottom. So he will follow because the motor will pull him. The motors are actively on these two turnouts. The motor is permanently on right now. I need to get the timer switch on them. But once I have that timer switch on them and add the sensors. So what happens is, if you have a magnet like the red bus does, if you have the magnet activates these sensors. These sensors tell this switch here, tell the motor, the servo underneath the gray circle here, it tells it to turn on. When it turns on, it creates the electromagnetic field that switches the polarity of the two wires and then tells this wire to guide the vehicle. Otherwise, it turns it off, and thus the only magnetic pole is straight across the gap here. The only magnetic pole is straight across here. See if I zoom in there. You see there's a little gap between the lines. So that allows the polarity to be changed and pull the ski on the bottom of the vehicle one way or the other. So when you have the magnet activates the sensor. The sensor tells the motor turn on and pull the vehicle into the turnout lane. And the same thing down here. Now, these have sensors in them. There are sensors, there are sensors right here, and they activate this. Since the bus has the magnet, this sensor and this sensor pick up the magnet, tell the servo underneath here, the little servo motor underneath here, to turn on. It creates a pull this way, and the bus pulls in. The second sensor activates the stop here. It turns this motor on. Whoops, How about I get on here? It turns this motor on. There's a motor in here. Maybe you can see underneath here. There's a motor right underneath this little symbol here. That motor creates a small electromagnetic pulse that turns everything inside the vehicle off. So one sensor activates this, and once it crosses this, the second sensor activates this motor to turn everything off, and that has a timer on it. 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 20 seconds. But over here, I don't have the little timer control set up on these two outer ones. I don't. So when these are permanently on, I need to connect them into a timing switch. And so right now, any vehicle like this bus, in the camera. So any vehicle like this little white van, will automatically turn off. The motor is on and directing it to change lanes. I need to get the sensors here to go with the motor so that the bus or vehicles like this white van without the magnet will go straight through, because the magnet sets off the sensor and turns this on. The magnet on the bottom of the vehicle activates these sensors that turn this motor on or off. Technically turns it on, and the buses will follow. This way I can have other vehicles driving around while the buses are doing their traffic runs. Now, a couple of people have asked me, how many Fowler cars can you do? You can have them in a conga line if you want, all running. You can have as many cars on here running as you want. Since this is a relatively small loop of track, I probably would only have 3 or 4 cars or trucks. I'm hoping Fowler eventually makes it so you can have cars. Right now, that van's about as small a vehicle as you can have running the system. But anyhow, you can have as many vehicles as you want. I currently have 2 Fowler vehicles. I have the red bus and the white service van. My next step is I need to get another bus chassis, and I'll have at least 2 buses that run these stops. I have to convert one of these blue buses. I've got one over here, you can see a little better. I'm going to convert one of those blue buses onto that red chassis, but that's going to take a little work. But I would eventually like to have, a few cars and trucks just circling around this outer loop, and then 2 or 3 buses that would pull in opposite of each other. Timing that would be a little bit of work, but can be done. I just got to get more bits. So I've ordered the sensors. I still need to order 2 more of the timing motors. So that is where this is at. But again, people are asking me, how many vehicles can you run? As many as you want. This is not a complex system in its basics. If you didn't care about buses stopping or traffic stops, you could put up as big a square as you want, run the wire and plug it into the power source, and they will run. They will run, and they will run, and they will run. No problems. They will run, they will run, they will run.
Good stuff. And he did good work too.
Alright, this is the little transformer I picked up. It is gotta be 45, 55 years old. Never heard of the company. Plena Speed, HO, F-Series 9, etc. But it's doing the job. I picked this up for $8 off eBay. And you'll have to excuse me for the shaking hands. I'm actually under my table. I didn't think of taking pictures of this until I started doing this video. So, that is what's powering everything. That was the transformer. Now, I could have spent 80 some bucks and gotten the official Fowler one, but I'll take 8 over 80, and since it's doing the job, way to go, old timer, is what I'll say to this transformer. Okay, so as you could tell by my voice in the video, yeah, I'm very happy with where it's at. It's really cool to be seeing this grow. It's taken me 2 months from when I got the first pieces and modeled it out, and then had to measure, then had to redesign the original planned layout because it just didn't work as designed. And then we just kept adding more to it, and then adding the motors and ordering new pieces. Sometimes money is the issue, sometimes I just didn't think about it. But anyhow, so that is the Fowler car system. So what I would like to do is, I've been nagged by 2015 that I'm supposed to be putting links, so he added a bunch of links that I should be putting in the corners here. And he told me, don't bother with this link because it's a broken link. Anyhow, until the next episode with hopefully a bigger update on the Fowler car layout, I'm going to say to everybody out there, stay safe, be careful, and happy trains. Goodbye. Whew. They're gone. Time to play with some trains.